Have you been dumped? This is part 2 of our series on what to do if you've been dumped. So if you're looking for ways to get through this difficult time, stay tuned to One-Derful Life. Hi, I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. One-Derful Life is my way of describing how it feels when you've made peace with being single. I know that there are a lot of women out there who prefer to be single and they don't want to be in a relationship, but that's not my experience and that's not how I feel. I've always wanted to be married and have a family, but I'm well over 40 and that hasn't happened for me. And it's always been a real source of sadness for me. And I really didn't think I could ever be happy being single because my definition of a fulfilled life is being a wife and a mother and having a family. But I realized I needed to make peace with being single because it did not seem to be changing. And that's what One-Derful Life is about. It's about being happy while you're single. You may not be happy because you're single, but you can be happy while you're single. Now, if you missed last week's episode, you might want to go back and watch that. That was part 1 of what to do when you've been dumped. And in this episode, we're going to finish that off with part 2 of what to do when you've been dumped. So I'd like to start off with part 2 by saying the first thing that you're going to do is you need to cut off communication. Now, that's difficult for women because we think, but what, he'll think I'm mad, or what if he calls me and he wants to get back together, and if I just don't communicate with him, he'll think I don't care, or if I don't text him, he'll think I'm not interested. Listen, men don't care about that. First of all, the very title of this episode, if you've been dumped, if he ended the relationship, you should not be communicating with him. He has let you know he doesn't want to be with you. You should not text him on his birthday. You should not text him Merry Christmas. You should not be liking his Instagram photos. You should not be commenting on his status. You should not call his mother. You should not reach out to his friends. And he might be communicating with you. And sometimes men do that because they don't want you to be angry, so they'll kind of keep the communication going, hoping to kind of keep you calm. Or sometimes they're keeping the communication going just to sort of keep you as a safety net, like you can just always be there for them. Whether or not his intention is to keep you on the line and keep your hopes up doesn't matter. The truth is communication keeps your hopes up. Even if you do the, well, we'll just be friends kind of thing, you're still hoping that it's going to be more than that if he dumped you. And for that reason, cut off communication. Do not answer the phone when he calls. Do not reply to his texts. And you say, well, but what if he's calling because he wants to tell me that he wants to get back together? Well, he'll probably leave you a voicemail if that's true, or frankly, he'll show up at your work or your house with flowers and he'll be begging you to come back to him. But don't get into these communications because what you'll get is like around the holidays or your birthday or Valentine's Day, hey, or happy birthday, or I miss you, or I'm thinking about you. Those are all just little breadcrumbs to keep you on the line. Cut off communication. Do not text him, do not call him, and don't be available to him. You know, listen, here's the deal. If he dumped you, he's saying he doesn't want a relationship with you. And frankly, your friendship is not a consolation prize. And if he broke up with you, does he really deserve your friendship? When you're unavailable, so he can't get you on the phone, he can't get you with texting, you're not available to him on social media, he doesn't see you around all the time, things that are rare have more value. And if you really do want to get back together, the only possible way is for him to miss you. And the only way for him to miss you is for you to not be available. Number two, I just referenced it, he doesn't get to be your friend. You don't owe it to him to make him feel good for dumping you. And a lot of men, this is why they'll avoid having a conversation where they dump you, because they feel really bad when they know that they're hurting you. So they'll just disappear on you. And then also, of course, then they can come back and say, well, we never really broke up. I never dumped you. Well, I didn't hear from you either. They'll give you these excuses, but if it's someone that you really don't have feelings for and you genuinely could be friends with, and remember, friends means, are you able to sit down with him over a beer or a cup of coffee and listen to him talk to you about the woman he's in love with and how he loves her and he's going to ask her to marry him and he can't wait? That's a friendship. With my guy friends, someone I'm just friends with because I have no feelings for them, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, you should propose. I'm so excited. And I genuinely mean it. So that's the friend test. Can you sit there with him and genuinely be on his side and be happy for him when he's in love with someone else? Other than that, if it's a man that you really had feelings for, he doesn't get to be your friend. Your friendship is not a consolation prize, and you don't owe it to him to make him feel better for not wanting to date you. Number three, when you've been dumped. This one is important and it's hard. You have to appear to be happy. And that's tough. And I was dating a man one time and we broke up, and then I saw him at, we were both in a community group together, and I saw him at one of our group meetings. And it was before the meeting started, and he was over at the coffee area getting coffee with a couple of guys and just kind of laughing and joking. And I was so mad because I felt like, you know, I dumped him. He should be upset. Why is he happy? Then we got back together and I mentioned that to him, and he said, Mary, I was like hurting. I had been crying in my car on the way to that meeting. And he said, but I just didn't want you to know that. I certainly didn't want the guys to know how upset and hurt I was. But he said, I really didn't want you to see me like that. So yeah, I was putting on a show, and it worked. It made me really angry and kind of jealous. Like, why is he so happy when I broke up with him? And that is what you need to do. So if you're in a space where it's a really fresh wound and you are crushed, then don't go out anywhere and don't call people. And for your own sake, please stay off social media or post something that sounds happy even if you're miserable. Don't, and I know celebrities do this. They'll do a Instagram video or a Facebook video or Snapchat or whatever of them lying in the bed crying and, you know, whinging on about their broken heart, or some kind of cryptic message about you can't trust people and you only ever have yourself. Don't do that. It's just going to make you look pathetic. This is when you have to really channel your inner actress. Pretend that you are an actress, pretend that you are a pageant queen. And I mean, I always think, like, when I watch a beauty pageant and I see the poor girl who got like first or second runner up, and then they announce the winner and it's not her, and she has to be like, oh yes, I'm so happy for you. And you know, she's just crushed inside and she just wants to like rip the crown off the girl who won. That's what you have to do when you're going through a breakup that's really devastating. You're going to have to put on a happy face. You're going to have to smile, put on your makeup, do your hair, put on your clothes, and go to work, and not bring your drama all to your workplace. You're going to have to smile and get through your day. And by the way, it's not anyone's fault that he dumped you. So, like, for me, I'm a teacher, and when I'm going through a broken heart, I have to put on my makeup and do my hair and put on my clothes, and I have to go to work. And I have to show up 100% for my students, because it is not their fault if my relationship didn't work out. And my colleagues, it's not their fault. And my boss, it's not his fault if my relationship didn't work out. And they've got enough stuff going on in their own lives. They really don't need me crawling through the day, like, oh, I got my heart broken, another relationship didn't work out. No, they deserve my best. And is that tough? Yeah. When I've been through breakups, there have been times where it's all I can do to get through the day, and then I get in my car to drive home and I burst into tears. Hey, sometimes that's the way it is. And remember, if he hears about his friends or his colleagues saw you out somewhere and you were happy and you looked great, that's going to get back to him, and it most likely is going to bother him, and that's okay. When Kate Middleton and Prince William broke up, they were broken up for a while, and then they got back together and got engaged. But when they were broken up, Kate Middleton made sure that she looked amazing whenever she went out with her friends. She was tan, she had her hair blown out, she looked beautiful, and she would not go to places where she knew Prince William would be, but of course the paparazzi were following her, and she always looked happy and beautiful. Now, afterwards, some of her friends said, yeah, like she would spend the day crying, and then she'd put ice packs on her eyes, and she would get glammed up, and she would go out and have a good time with her friends. That's the way to do it. You don't let everybody know that you're falling apart. You're going to have to pretend to be okay. And then my last tip is you got to be like Olivia Pope from Scandal, and you've got to spin it. Don't ever tell people you've been dumped. Now, I know it might sound hypocritical because here I am on this show. I'll tell you frequently about the times that I've been dumped, or in my blogs I write about heartbreaks that I've been through, but I'm not dating anymore. And so I'm here willing to be transparent and vulnerable with you and tell you what I've been through and mistakes I've made, in hopes that I can help you not make those mistakes or not go through that type of heartbreak. Now, when I was dating, I would never tell someone if they said, well, how come your relationship didn't work out? I would never say, well, he dumped me, or he left me to go back to his ex-wife, or he met someone else he liked better. Never say that. Because when you say that, see, as women, we think if we cast ourselves as a victim, like, oh, poor me, he dumped me, he broke my heart, we think that that'll make the man that we're now talking to kind of want to kind of scoop us up and protect us and love us. But in fact, what he does is sit there and go, huh, another guy dumped her, I wonder what's wrong with her. Okay, so what do you do if you're with someone and they ask you that? Well, hey, are you still seeing so-and-so? You can say no. Oh, well, what happened? Just didn't work out. Oh, well, how come? We just want different things in life, which could be true. Like, you want to be in a relationship with him and he doesn't want to be in one with you. Or we have different goals, like your goal was to stay together and his goal was to break up. Or he's just not the right guy for me. Why? Because he broke up with you. Clearly he's a douchebag. But you don't have to get into all that. So just keep your answers very light and happy, and don't facilitate drama. It's only going to make you look bad. So the answer that I would give when I would be on a date, if someone said, well, how come your last relationship didn't work out? I would just say, I don't know, just didn't work out. And if they would ask, well, who ended it? Normally what I would say is, oh, it was pretty much mutual. We just weren't on the same page. And let it go and change the subject. Nobody else needs to know why your relationship ended. That's between you and that guy. But I promise you, when you tell your breakup stories to men that you're on dates with, they will see you as damaged goods. They will wonder, why did she get dumped? Wait a minute. She was dating a decent guy and he dumped her? Uh-oh, what's wrong with her? And by the way, you should also be listening to that if you're dating, because if you're dating someone and let's say his wife left him, and if you know her to be a pretty smart, high-value woman, you need to be asking yourself, why did she leave him? Because many times we want to think like, oh, well, she just didn't appreciate him. But I've dated several men that, of course, you're only hearing their side of the story, and it's like, I don't know, I was a good husband, I loved her so much, and she just decided she didn't want to be married anymore. But in most of these cases, what I discovered was this was a woman who had children with this guy. She had her own career. Okay, if you already have children with a man and you have your own career and you're stable and successful, if he's such a great husband, why are you leaving him? There's usually a reason. Now, marriages end for a lot of different reasons, okay? I'm just saying it could be a red flag. Pay attention to it. This is one of the mistakes I see a lot of my girlfriends making, is that when they get broken up with, when they get dumped, they feel like they just kind of are always there in the waiting in the wings, hoping that he'll change his mind and come back. And so I'm always just going to be there for you, and I'll text you on your birthday, and I'll send you a Christmas card, and I'll just kind of be your friend. Don't do it. Part of a wonderful life is having self-respect and not allowing someone to get your friendship as a consolation prize. You don't owe it to him. If he broke your heart, you don't owe it to him to make him feel good about that. So I told you all the reasons why you need to project that you're happy and put a positive spin on things, but let's just get really real about why you need to do this. Here's the truth. 50% of the people that you tell your problems to really don't care, and the other 50% are glad that you have the problem. So don't give people the satisfaction of knowing that you're going through a hard time, or you got dumped, or another guy broke up with you. It's nobody's business. Don't put it on social media. Don't get into it at work. You don't need to let people know about it. If you really can't go a day without crying, like if it's really a fresh wound, then yeah, maybe you call out sick for one day at work, or maybe you don't go out with your friends for a few days because you just need to stay home and, you know, kind of heal. And by the way, I have some extra information that I can email you if you want on how to get over a heartbreak. So if you want that information, just type in the comments, or you can direct message me, or call it the ABCs of getting over a broken heart, and it's how to get over heartbreak. And I did write a blog on what to do when you've been dumped, and you can see that at wonderfullife.com. And remember, Wonderful Life is a dialogue, not a monologue. And we'd love to hear from you. So put in the comments if you're struggling with being dumped, or what is some of the best advice that helped you to get over a broken heart. And you can always connect with us at wonderfullife.com. And make sure to join us next week right here on Wonderful Life.